Hi, it's Katie with Be Your Own Champion, and I wanted to talk a little bit in this video about roles that we play, archetypes, if you will. There are roles that we take on when we're very young based on the situation that we're born into, based on the dynamics of the people that we're with, the families that we're in. And those roles often are carried with us into adulthood, even when they are no longer needed or are not applicable or relevant in current life. Recently, it's become more and more of a theme for me to review what those roles are and decide how I would like to reinterpret who I am now, and sort of shedding the old skin, taking off parts of myself that I identified with when I was younger that no longer make any sense in my world now. Sorting this out, I have discovered, requires a very conscious process in which the true version of myself, which I'm working to define and realize and bring into the light, is having a conversation with the old version of myself, a younger version of myself, probably a child version, that has adapted to her life and has taken on certain responsibilities in order to navigate her situation then. This is a very personal process for everyone. I'm trying to think of an example that I can give that's not too personal that would demonstrate what I mean. Sometimes there are roles that we take on as children. Let me give some examples, like the good child or the bad kid, the child who always struggles, the child who always needs help. If you think to yourself, what role was I in? If you can identify what that is, it helps you see how it is carried into your adult life and how you're still playing out that role. And you can ask yourself, is this a beneficial role for me to be playing? If not, what am I without this role? That process can be very scary. When you remove things that you previously identified with yourself, you're sort of left with this empty space, and it can feel very unnerving and like you're at loose ends. But the great thing about that is then you are left to be able to define what you want to be. I have recently been reading the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It's all about uncovering your hidden fears and your subconscious upper limits that you hold on yourself. In the book, he defines 4 hidden fears that people have. The first hidden barrier is feeling fundamentally flawed. I think this is tied to not ever feeling good enough, like you can never be good enough. I think a lot of people can relate to that one. The second hidden barrier is disloyalty and abandonment. The internal dialogue associated with this one goes like this. I cannot expand to my full success because it would cause me to end up all alone, be disloyal to my roots, and leave behind people from my past. The hidden barrier number 3 is believing that more success brings a bigger burden. Hidden barrier number 4 is the crime of outshining. I must not expand to my full success because if I did, I would outshine blank, whoever. So if you can relate to any of those 4 hidden barriers, it's well worth it to investigate that a little further and do some thinking into where those beliefs came from and why you're holding on to them. Maybe do some writing about it. I've been working on this myself and it's been very enlightening. I've also been thinking about, getting rid of old roles and identities that we have with ourselves, archetypes, if you will, and how those can be kind of like masks. When you take off the mask, what are you underneath and who are you? That can be a very scary process, as I mentioned before. Oftentimes we're clinging to the old roles because they feel familiar and because we have a certain pattern of behaving and there's no question marks involved usually. We're just acting as if we've always acted, right? So when you remove those and you start over, it's like, what are the rules? How am I? Who am I? And how do I act? It can be scary, but as I said, the awesome thing about it is that you have a clean slate and you can consciously decide what roles you want to play, how you want to be in your life, how you want your relationships to go. You have control over all these things. Anyway, I highly recommend this book if you're interested in adding another one to your reading list. Obviously, this could be a very deep topic. I just kind of wanted to do a brief overview and like plant the seed. If you haven't thought about this kind of thing before, it's a really important thing to think about because these old patterns of behavior and old roles that we play can pretty much drive our lives and can drive them in a very negative way if we're not conscious of what's happening and why it's happening. Oftentimes I'll have a dialogue consciously within myself where I will have a conversation with the old version of me, the child version of me. I'll ask her questions. I want to know how she's feeling. Let those things surface so that I can be more aware, more understanding as I move forward and make new decisions about how I want to be and how I want to live my life. If you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, I encourage you to come join it. We would love to see you there. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.